Do you ever wonder how great leaders in the community make things happen? When they encounter new, unexpected challenges like a pandemic, how do they continue to successfully make an impact? Welcome to That Sounds Terrific, the podcast that connects you with these amazing people. Get insights on what they do to meet their goals, find out how you can help them in their mission, and learn their methods so you can be more successful at what you do. Welcome to That Sounds Terrific with host Nick Koziel.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of That Sounds Terrific. And joining me today is Casey Hasten, and she's with VIP, Director of Recruiting and host of We Are VB podcast. There's so many different things she does. So I'm going to let her kind of introduce herself and tell us all what's going on. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, we met like a couple weeks ago. We're connected and all of a sudden like headed off really well. And I'm like, wow, you're doing more than me by far. And I just want to hear more about it and introduce you to the audience. So,
well, I am definitely looking forward to some future collaboration between us because I think we both have the heart to help those people that are in transition in their careers. And I think that is so important. So as the Director of Recruiting at VIP, I mean, that is my job. I get to help people every single day. It just so happens I get paid for it. But, you know, even if I didn't, I think I would still be doing this because it's my calling. I want so bad to help people find their career alignment, to find their passion so that they can say what I do. I never work a day in my life because I love my job and I get to come to work with amazing people, not just the people that work for VIP, but the people that we engage with to help them find jobs. And it's opened up so many other opportunities for me as well. So I don't know how much you want to go into that, but I would love to talk about the networking aspect of what I do.
sure. I mean, that's kind of how we met. We can definitely talk about the networking part. And yeah, we're definitely in alignment. You know, I started a support group that you're going to come in and talk at one point and share your knowledge and everything. And it was just completely out of trying to help people, which is definitely what you try to do as well. And I think that, you know, during the pandemic, I kind of rediscovered my creativity with this podcast and some other things, but also, you know, in general, when I was looking for work, people kept asking me, what are you trying to do? I said, I just want to help people. And, you know, I'm having coaches telling me that's too vague and all these different things. But, you know, everything that I've done, you know, since then has been to help people, help others. And that's helped me. So.
Absolutely. And, you know, my main rule of networking is I never turn down a conversation. And I think that has opened so many doors. And a lot of people are like, why are you talking to that person? How are they going to help you? And I'm like, it's not about how they're going to help me. It's how can I help them? And you never know unless you have that conversation, right? Yeah. So I'm an open networker. I tell people all the time when I meet them, I'm like, if you think I need to talk to somebody, just make the introduction. You do not need my permission. In fact, I'm giving you blanket permission to introduce people to me. Plus, I love to make new friends. I love to talk to people. I love to hear about what's going on in their lives. And probably 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some way I can help them, but there's also some way they help me. Either it's by making another introduction or, you know, you just never know. And I have to tell you, I'm so big on networking that I have a networking notebook. There's another little clue. Keep a networking notebook. And I keep track of the relationships and the people that I meet through that notebook. And I just had a phenomenal experience when it comes to networking. Okay. So I was introduced to a lady that through another networking group that I belong to, through a member from that networking, it gets really sticky. Okay. Bear with me. And so she introduced me to this other lady because she said that you both are in the same industry. You're both recruiters. And so I was like, sure, I'll talk to her, you know? So we get on a Zoom call and come to find out she was no longer recruiting. She decided to support the family business, which was a printing company. And lo and behold, I was looking for a printer at the time. And because I'm working on a journal that's about to be released. And so she became my printer and she was like, because I asked her, I was like, well, what do you print? She's like, well, it just so happens I print a journal. And she held up a journal, a prototype of one that she had just done. And I was like, oh my God, I need somebody to print a journal for me. And she's like, you know what? You should meet the author of this journal. And I was like, okay. And so she introduced me to him and he ended up coming on my podcast, young man, very forward thinking, very big into, you know, helping people. The name of his company is Overcoming Odds. So he came on my podcast, and then a year later he calls me and that's another important key about networking is you've got to keep in touch. You've got to nurture those relationships. Right. And so he calls me, he's like, Casey, I just got back from the spiritual journey. And when I say spiritual, I'm not talking religious, I'm talking inner work, find yourself. And so he says, I just got back from this journey and I'm a changed person. And we got to talking and I was so amazed by what he was doing. He's got an event coming up. And I was like, well, I belong to this networking organization here locally. You might join. And he lives in Michigan. I'm in Dallas. Right. And he's like, I'm booking a flight. And so for the first time, I think second time in like all my international networking, he flew to Texas, joined me at this event, and I got to hug his neck in person. And it was amazing. And then he got to meet a lot of amazing people. And one of them in particular, he was like, he just blew my mind. That was amazing. And so I get to connect all these people and connect with these people. And it's just amazing the doors that have opened up for me because of that. I'm actually having a conversation with a very large organization about bringing our podcast into their network. They have about 700 podcasts right now. So it's, that never would have happened if I wasn't an avid networker.
Oh, it's awesome. And again, we're kind of in line with our trains of thought here, because like, I love networking in the same way. And those things happen. And one person ended up calling me like the human puzzle architect. And it really is true. You're talking to someone, then you realize just an hour ago, you were talking to a person that needed that service, or in your case, like you found service that you were looking for. So it's amazing how that timing sort of works out. And I honestly can't figure out if it's like sort of like a karma or like a, like perfect timing thing, or if it's just, I've gotten to that kind of point now where I know so many people that I can sort of find that connection that fits for every person I'm kind of connecting with. And you don't refuse a meeting because you never know where that could lead you. During the pandemic, I was getting constantly, contacted by wealth managers. I never turned them down. I had a really great wealth manager right now, but that doesn't mean that these people don't have great tips, or maybe they're, connecting about something completely different. So it's always important to kind of do that networking.
And I think it's important too, what you said about you're not sure why you're attracting the kind of people you're attracting right now. I think there's a very clear reason why you're attracting them. And it's about the vibes. It's about the energy that we put out. That's measurable. It has been measured about the energy we put out. And if you're putting out an energy of hope and help and, value, you're going to attract people that are seeking those kind of, core values as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Earlier, you mentioned a journal that you're putting together. So I would love to hear more about that.
It's like my favorite talking subject right now. So thank you for asking that question.
No problem.
And I really kind of take you back to
Sure.
several years ago, because I started on a professional and personal journey, and really wanting to take my career and my personal life to the next step. And I read a book. That's how most of my conversations start. I read a book, or I listened to a podcast, but it was called The Miracle Morning. Have you heard of this one?
I have heard of it. Yeah. I haven't read it though.
It's a quick read. I highly, highly recommend it. But because it literally, I think, changed my world. And it starts with setting your day up for success. And so part of that is journaling. Okay. And so I started journaling, and then I started journaling about another area of my life. So I just started journaling in general. And then I started goal setting. And then I started doing a lot on mindset, affirmations, meal planning, all of this stuff. And I kid you not, I was carrying around 4 or 5 different journals. It was insane. I had to get a cart so I could take them with me to work. Right. So anyway, I was like, this is stupid. I need to go out and find a journal that's got everything in one place. And you know what? It didn't exist. And so me being the big thinker, the big, 30,000 level view person that I am, I'm like, well, I'll just create one, not thinking about everything that would have to go into it. I really had to get out of my comfort zone for this, because I am not a detail person. And so I have created a journal. It's called Awaken Your Potential. It has 6 different sections to it with a hidden section. I'll talk about that in just a second. So it has mindset, affirmations, efficiency. So that's your goal stacking, or I'm sorry, your habit stacking, goal setting, which is critical. If you're not writing down your goals, how can you ever hit that target? You know, you might accidentally, but if you write them down, you are way more guaranteed to hit your goals. Productivity. So that's your daily pages. It's a quarterly journal. So there's 13 weeks of daily pages. And then of course, 13 weeks of your weekly reviews and overviews on each of the daily pages. And then the final section is finance. But I want to mention the daily pages because this is where the hidden section comes in. Okay. There's not a section that calls it out, but it's built into it because this is a very holistic journal, right? It combines professional and personal. And that hidden section is health. Because every day on the daily pages, I'm asking you to track your health. You know, how many steps did you take? How did you sleep last night? How much water have you had? Those kind of things. And then at the end of the week, meal planning. Because our health is so important. And if we don't take time, I don't know about you, but like for me, if I don't plan out what I'm going to eat, I'm probably going through a drive-through.
Yes.
So I have to.
Yeah, I gotta stop doing that, going to work, and then I'll just get takeout, right? Yeah, and it's never good stuff. And then part of my job was very meal oriented as well, meeting with people for coffee, meeting with people for lunch, dinner, drinks. So what do I ever eat a salad? No.
You get the chicken fried steak.
That's
what I want.
Yeah, something fried, you know, even if it isn't fried. Can you fry that salad? Because so I get it. Go back to the journal. Sorry, sidetrack.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah.
So meal planning is very important, but then I went even a step further and I put a grocery list in there right behind the meal planning that you can tear out, and it's broken down by sections so that when you go to the grocery store, you're not looking all over your list. You know how some people like, I have potatoes here, then I have this whole list, and then I have bananas. You know, it's not like that. You've got your produce all in one spot. You've got your meats all in one spot, and it follows the flow of the grocery store for most grocery stores.
Right.
So I really feel like that people that take the time, and it doesn't take that long. I probably spend about 15 minutes in the morning in my journal. Okay. And do the rest of my miracle morning. But what's important is that I do it and I set my day up for success because I write down my schedule every single morning. There's no surprises. And I've also wrote it down at the beginning of the week when I'm doing my weekly preview. So I know exactly how to allot my time, which allows me to get a lot more done. And so I just feel like it's so important to, you know, be a choice, to be where you are in control of your decisions. One of the things I ask you to do on the daily pages is set your intention for the day. You know, if you don't have an intention for the day, how do you know if you got there? It goes back to that target thing. And the other beautiful thing about that is when you set your intention, are you familiar with the reticular activation system?
No.
Okay. I'm going to blow your mind here.
Okay.
And it's in your mind. So it's this little blob that's back here, but it is so important because it filters out all the information that's coming at us all the time. Right. Because you wonder, like, if I tell you blue Toyota, you're going to be thinking about blue Toyotas and you're going to see them all over the place. I want you to send me a count of how many you see later today.
It's kind of like twins. When we had twins, that we saw twins everywhere.
Exactly. But that's your reticular activation system. And you have to program that, because if you let TV and all this other stuff program it, then that's what you're going to see. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you're programming it with positive intentions, so that when I say, I want to speak at that event, my mind starts looking for ways for me to speak at that event subconsciously. I'm not even having to work on it anymore. So that's why it's so important for you to set your intent. I really highly encourage people that negative self-talk. Pardon me. If you're telling yourself that you're no good, that you're a failure, your reticular activation system is going to say, she's a failure. Let's prove it. You know,
I'm really good at telling other people that I'm no good.
Stop doing that. You're the best.
Oh, thank you.
So I was going to show you, I brought my journal because I've got the beta version right now.
Sweet.
So it's a little worn out because it's the end of the quarter, but this is the cover.
Oh, nice.
And I do have a male version available that's just black with the white letters, because I know a lot of guys are like, that's a little girly for me to carry around, which I get, but the work is not girly, right?
Yeah.
So we had all the graphics carefully curated by a symbol and color expert. So when you look at, and I'll show you, for example, meditation. When you look at meditation, it's curated to hopefully evoke a certain feeling in you. So you tell me. You see?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very peaceful, getting to the center of the mind kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And so all of the graphics are like that. They get goals is a little bolder,
Yeah.
Um,
So my mind's racing already, like
okay.
already having ideas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there is definitely this really cool app coming in out after this, right?
Well, there will be, but not your traditional app. And let me tell you why. There
Mhm.
is so much research around the importance of writing
Writing it
things
down.
down.
Mhm.
Yes, it's called double encoding. And so, just for people who don't know what that is, double encoding means that when you write something down, your brain stores it in a certain place. When you look at it, your brain stores it in a different place.
Right.
And so it
Yeah.
reaffirms. That's why it's so important to write down your goals. And that
Yeah.
gives your brain two chances, your subconscious, to work on it.
Yeah.
So,
No, I get it. And like, after you said that, I'm like, well, I'll just do it on the iPad. I'll write it out.
so
No,
there
but
is,
go ahead.
I was going to tell you, there is a potential technology application that's going to be coming out of it. I'm partnering with somebody I met through my networking,
Yeah.
that. So have you heard of a Remarkable notebook?
Yes. Yes.
And I've not touched one yet, but everybody I've talked to that has, they're like, this is amazing. It feels like you
Mhm.
are absolutely
Actually writing
writing
paper.
on paper.
Mhm.
So for that, I feel like that could be a possibility. You can download the forms and just download it to your Remarkable, but you're still writing it down because I don't
Yeah.
want you to lose that. Right.
No, I think that that's important. I totally get what you're saying. And that's actually where my mind was going, even because like I'm thinking, how can this be interactive? And then, I go to like, there's another company that I use a lot for planning stuff. So like Asana, and like when you complete a goal, like a little like rainbow unicorn or something jumps out. It's like, yes. I almost want to create goals and just to check it off. Right. But
Yep.
no, I get it. No, Remarkable will be an interesting way to kind of highlight that and still have it in a book. Love the shopping list too, by the way.
It is so helpful. I have used this. So I'm on my third journal right now.
Mhm.
So my third quarter, about to finish that up. And mainly just because it's, I self-publish. So for anybody out there that is going to self-publish, call me. I've made every mistake. Okay. And which is why it's taken me a little bit longer. I'd hoped to have it out in 6 months. It's now been 2 years,
Right.
but good news. I did just approve final edits yesterday. So we are about to go to the printer and this thing will be
Yay.
ready to go sometime in probably the fourth quarter.
Awesome. So I'm sure that you'll share with me and I can share with the group like how to get that. But it's something kind of to look forward to. I think it's a really awesome idea. And I'm so glad that you mentioned it because I definitely need one.
Do you want the girly or the black?
It doesn't matter to me. Like
Yeah.
that stuff never really matters. So I have like, what I would call a very creative and artistic side, and I'm open to like things, and it doesn't matter. Like, I think I get the same from both sides. And I have two girls and my wife, and then two boys too. So hopefully I'm raising them right to kind of feel the same way and be accepting of both,
I love
So
that. I
yeah.
love that so much. Yeah. So the other thing that I'm doing right now, other than hosting our company podcast, we are VIP, shameless plug.
No, plug away.
Yeah. So, well, and just very quickly, this is a great resource for your audience as well, because this is our company podcast and it is designed to help you find that better job. Make sure you're on the right career path. Listen to experts. I have somebody that's coming on that just wrote a book called Easier, that he's talking about 60 ways to love your work life. And I think that's so important. I think so many people don't enjoy going to work. And that's so sad. We spend so much time at work, right?
Yeah.
I want people to love what they do. And so we do talk a lot about mindset, because if your mind's not right, you're not getting that job. You and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
so important that you do that inner work so that you are prepared to go into that job interview, into that workplace, and really create your own reality, because we do that. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, we do that. We do that by putting on a lens of whether we're a victim, whether we're angry, whether we're happy to be there. We create that. And
Mhm.
a lot of times, if we just understand where other people are coming from, then we see that it's not about us. Most of the time, it's not,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And you know, the other thing that I think I brought up with you in a prior conversation was it's important to always to be on the lookout and networking for the next job, right? Whether it's in your own company or, you know, in a different company.
Mhm.
People a lot of times get that job, you know, and just stop networking, and they stop talking to
Yes.
others because like, hey, I got my job. But they don't realize that when you do that, you're closing yourself off to other possibilities. There might be an even better job, your dream job or whatever, that opens up. You never know about it if you didn't just keep on continuing to network. So and that's something that I noticed right away about you, and you even mentioned it earlier about, like, you know, you got to keep on nurturing those relationships because you
Mhm.
never know where you could help someone else or they could help you. So
You know, I also, VIP is sponsoring an initiative through a bigger organization called Success North Dallas.
mhm.
You can attend virtually if you want to check it out. It's an amazing event. We just had an incredible speaker this month, Jeffrey Hazlett. He's the CEO
Mhm.
of the C-Suite Network. He was also the CMO for Kodak, but he loves
Mhm.
to point out before they went bankrupt. He
Yeah.
was also the guy that was that created the concept, believe it or not, get this,
Mhm.
for the Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah.
And he sat as a judge for 3 years with Donald Trump.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so these are the kind of speakers we get at Success North Dallas. But anyway, I went on a little tangent there.
That's okay.
So so as a part of that, because Success North Dallas has been going on for 34 years, it's time for a regime change, right?
Right.
So we started this initiative called the Young Executives to teach them how to network and to teach them how to run a networking organization. And so I have been having so much fun. But that's exactly what I'm telling these kids, and they are kids. I'm sorry, I've got kids older than them, right? You know, I'm telling them, you've got to build your network now. You don't want that well to be dry when you need it. You
Right.
always need to be working on your network. I don't care if you're in transition, not in transition, whatever's going on, you need that professional network. And
Yeah.
so we're really teaching them how to do that. And they are like, it's just sometimes their eyes just get so wide. They're like, how did that happen? You know, I'm like, it's because you poured into them.
Right. Right. You got to keep on pouring into those buckets, and you the well thing is also something in fundraising we talk a lot about. Like, you can't keep going back to the same well because one day it's going to dry up, right?
Yes.
You know, you got great generous donors, and they keep giving, but they're not always going to be there to give. Things change, right? So networking is a lot like that too. And what you describe in the everyday life, you know, you need to keep on finding new sources of water, and make sure you're replenishing them too, right?
That is such a great analogy. I think I'm going to use that with the next meeting for the
Yeah,
young executives.
definitely.
The fundraising is
Yeah.
perfect.
So but I think that what you're doing is like on so many different levels and in different parts of, you know, your life. You just keep on giving, and then, you know, finding things that you're getting out of it to create your energy. And I think that's great. It's one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on the show. And can you talk a little bit more about that group and kind of how you came to be a part of it?
Success North Dallas.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's like one of my favorite things. So when I first started really getting into networking, I was visiting a bunch of the different networking groups here in the Dallas area and really trying to, because, you know, time is limited, right?
Mhm.
Trying to find where I was going to get the most bang for my buck. Not that I was trying to make money, but where I was going to get the most out of the relationships that were in the room. And I settled on Success North Dallas. That's where I decided I was going to pay dues. I've been attending about 5 years. And I think you probably know this about me. Whenever I am behind something, I'm like 150% in. It's not enough to sit in the audience. I want to be a part of the team. Right.
Yeah.
And so I just started volunteering there. And, you know, as I started volunteering and I started rising in visibility, I caught the notice of the founder. And so
Mhm.
eventually he decided, because I was, you know, and I was really good at coordinating the volunteers and just keeping things going and showing up to help set up each month. And so he made me his chief of staff. And then, and again, I just want to remind you, this has been going on for 34 years. The same person's been running it.
Right.
And he is getting ready to step down. And he has asked myself and my company to step up and continue running the organization.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
it's
Right.
pretty huge.
Again, another example of like right time, right place,
Mhm.
right mentality and attitude. Was that in your goals? Was that in your journaling?
So funny that you asked that. One of my goals, because, you know, back when I first started with my personal branding, was, I want to speak to people about the journal and about the importance of goal setting and about career alignment and all that kind of stuff. And so I actually wrote in my journal that I wanted to be a speaker at Success North Dallas. It's huge. I just told you, I mean, we've had people like, we had one of the top 10 motivational speakers month before last, and so I wanted to be on that stage. That was the stage I chose as my debut. And so I was talking to Bill Wallace, who's the founder, the other day. And I was like, and I'd never shared this with him before, never. And when he told me that, he was going to be stepping down and asked me to take over, I told him, I said, Bill, one of my goals was to speak at Success North Dallas. I never thought that I would be speaking every month.
You get what you ask for, right?
And sometimes more.
Yeah. And you didn't even have to ask, really. It was just putting that out there. I think that's a really good lesson. It's something that I try to bring to my, network and support groups and other people, especially young college students, talking about, like, again, what you were saying earlier, putting out that energy and giving it your all and finding your passion and pushing that into your profession, because then you find the things like you're doing right now, what you love to do.
Well, and I just want to point one more thing out.
Of course.
This is not a short game. Remember how long I told you I've been going to Success North Dallas? 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years. But you can't stop. Even like when I started my personal brand, that was in 2019. I had no idea what I was doing, why I was doing it. But now if you look at my website, you'll see that personal brand, setting me apart as a hiring expert, has built and become, but it took time. When that website first went up there, I was like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But now there's all sorts of media appearances. There's podcasts, that both my podcast and podcasts that I go on. Yours will be on there.
Yay. That sounds terrific.
I love,
yeah, definitely. It just sidetrack really quick. Like, so in, of course, all my signatures on my personal email, I have the podcast. That sounds terrific. And I can't tell you how many people need to write back. And when I reply to them, they say, oh yeah, that sounds terrific. Sorry, just had to do it. So, no, but I think that you're right on. It isn't, nothing should really be a short game. There should always be a longer plan to everything that you're doing. Because again, it goes back to what you said earlier about, writing your goals down and your intentions, because how are you going to know where you want to be if you're not going to plan for that? Right. So
beautiful.
I think you're doing some awesome things. I think the journal is such a cool project to be working on. And I'm excited that you're kind of getting to that end point too, where it's like you're almost there, right?
Yes. And now I'm kind of like, what's next? I have other ideas. Just wait and see. So Awaken is the brand. And so the journal is going to be the first step of the brand, but there's going to be more coming out. So you guys need to keep an eye out on this.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I'm gonna have to keep on nurturing this relationship to figure out what awaken, right? You just said what will awaken out of this, right? So what else is going on? You spent, it seems like your career is like so intertwined in your life, right?
It is.
So what do you do for fun, like aside from work?
So before I tell you that, I just want to share one more thing with you, because I've had to, you're right, I do have a lot going on. It's very intertwined, both with my professional and personal life. And one of the things that I've been working on with my mentor lately, and I want to share with everyone, is setting boundaries, learning to say no, and that's okay. I'm a big believer in let your yes be yes and your no be no. And so when I have to take back a yes, it really, really hurts my heart. But I've really, and in fact, I have to keep a list for my mentor. I have to say no 3 times this week. And it's so hard, but that's important. So it's different for everybody, but be sure that when you're going out and you're changing the world and you're doing all this, that you do keep those personal boundaries and that you keep time for you. Like, I absolutely ran myself into the ground last week because I didn't say no enough. And it took me 2 days, like all weekend. Usually I'm really busy on the weekend, but I was just dead. I slept for 11 hours one night. That's how dead I was. Yeah. So that would be probably the biggest piece of advice that I would give to people, is set those boundaries now as you start moving forward. Not that you were asking for advice, but I always love to give it.
No, this is like the perfect answer to this question. I couldn't even ask for a
Yeah.
better one, because I was wondering, I'm like, okay, so where are the boundaries? Where's the work-life balance if it's all
Yeah.
intertwined?
Yeah. And so one of the boundaries that I set is I don't do more than 2 podcasts outside of my own per week. And so that means I have to say no a lot, you know. Another boundary that I've set is, you know, I'm not going to for networking events in the evenings right now.
Right.
You know, 1 to 2, and I may even just knock that down to 1 a week. Just because it's too much. It's too much time away from my family. I mean, I've got fur babies at home. They need to see me, you know? But then outside of all that, what I do for fun, you're going to think I'm such a nerd. I love to read.
That's good. That's not a nerd thing. That's a good thing. That's awesome.
I love to read.
What are you reading now?
So I am reading a book called I Am. It's actually, I read about 4 books at a time. But I Am is the one that's on top right now.
Okay.
And it's a self-exploration into your own personal development. And I can't remember the little subtitle that goes with it, but it's really, really good. So I can send that to you for the show notes if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Miracle Morning and I Am.
Yeah, I already wrote down Miracle Morning. I Am. All right, cool. So work-life balance also important, even when you love what you do and you don't feel like what you love that you do is actually work. It can be. And so I think that that's awesome that you find a way to kind of balance that. You're setting those limits. You can use your journal to help you with those limits, right? Lots of different things going on in here. And thank you so much for letting us be one of the podcasts of the week, right? That you're on. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Hopefully we live up to expectations, right?
Absolutely.
So like how I know there's so many different ways that you're helping people, and you've talked a little bit about how people help you kind of naturally through your networking, but how else can people help you? What else can people do to kind of assist you in like your mission, either at VIP or what you're doing with your journal, things like that?
So many ways. I have so many ways you can help me. So when it comes to VIP, we focus on accounting and finance. I work what's called a full desk, which means I help clients who are looking for talent, but I also help candidates who are looking for jobs, right?
Right.
So any of those, if somebody's having trouble filling a spot, I want to hear about it. If somebody's looking for a job and needs some help, I want to hear about it. We do work across the United States, but primarily in the DFW areas. So, but that doesn't mean I can't help you. You know,
right.
I can prep you for an interview. I can help you with that. Let me tell you, I have a really good prep for interviews. It's pretty good. I can help you with your career goals. You know, I am a certified coach. There's just so many different ways that I can help you, and I want to help you. So please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I am always on LinkedIn for the most part. The other way that you can help me is when the journal comes out, share the word, let people know what's going on. And then any cool people, any thought leaders, any experts that you think might be a good potential for my podcast, would love to be connected with them as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I definitely have a few names that pop in my head for that, for sure. And I will share that with you. I guess like we've talked a lot about a lot of different things. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to like definitely share with everybody? This is usually the stumper.
I'm just trying to think because we did cover a lot. I think, well, we didn't really talk about my coaching. So that's another lane that I'm in, and I'm really loving that because it can be career coaching, but really when it comes down to it, everything's life coaching, right? It all starts with mindset and really learning who you are. I think the quicker people will wake up, and I don't like to say that with all this woke stuff going on. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about waking up to your locus of control, what you can do and how much you control your reality. It's people, I know they think I'm crazy, but I'm not. You can literally change your reality by changing your thoughts.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Anybody that needs help in that area, reach out to me. I would love to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Having coached in the past myself, I can totally relate with what you're saying, that it all starts with life first. You know, whether it's coaching just on social media, because that's something else that I've done, is sort of help people with like social media and figure out how to use it, like that have never used it before, either personally or professionally. And it does kind of go back to their personal mindset and like how they're feeling and things like that. So
Yes.
cool. Awesome.
And don't let anybody, one other thing, sorry.
Yeah.
One other thing. So a real big life lesson that I have been learning lately, and I love to share what I'm learning, right? If I can hack it for you, I will, is really don't let other people's opinions or thoughts change the way you feel about yourself. If you like, some people may come at you and they're like, well, you're so stupid because of this, this, and this. That's on them. Don't let that be on you. Your self-esteem does not depend on what they think about you. Okay. Yeah. What they think about you is none of your business. One of my coaches told me that one time. It's not. And 9 times out of 10, what they're thinking is probably completely made up in their head, and then they're doing all that, confirmation bias to confirm that what they think about you is true, but that doesn't mean it's true for you. So definitely take control of your thoughts and your perceptions and know your worth and your value. And if you do some of those exercises in the journal, the mindset and the core values, and just really get to know yourself, you're going to be so much happier.
Yeah. No, I can't think of a better way to kind of end this on that thought, is knowing yourself and, believing in yourself and all of those things that you're kind of putting forth. And so Casey, it's been great having you on the show. I hope that people will connect with you. I urge them to connect with you. And when this journal gets launched, I hope everyone will pick one up. And you also have kind of like a workbook for your coaching clients too, right there,
Yeah. It's all about accountability. That's like the whole premise of this, is the accountability.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show again. You've been a terrific guest, and I can't wait to see how far you're going to go in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Don't forget to check out the show notes and our website at thatsoundsterrific.com to find the contact information and the best ways to volunteer with the organizations that we feature. If you know someone that is doing terrific things and think they should be featured in a future episode, be sure to email us their name, contact info, and short description of what they're doing at thatsoundsterrific@gmail.com. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating and give us some social media love by liking our Facebook page, That Sounds Terrific. Follow us on Twitter at Sounds Terrific 2 and Instagram at Sounds Terrific. We love hearing your feedback on how to make our show sound even more terrific. Till next time.